Hey there friends, it's Glenn with the Cactus Atlas. I'm starting an intro for a new video right when I made an outro for our Narrows video. So in real time, this is like 2 minutes after I finished that video. But I wanted to start it here at a familiar site. It's kind of cool when you have a series of videos and we're all hanging out. Probably my favorite place in the park right now is here by this river, the Virgin River. If you haven't seen our walk through the Narrows, you can see me walk miles through this stuff, through very narrow canyons that sometimes reach up to like 1,000 feet high and sometimes maybe like 30 feet wide. It's wild, and I highly recommend it. But this video, I have no idea what the heck we're doing yet. Oh yeah, I've got a little time to kill here because I got things done today and I have eaten, but I might eat again because I'm starving, because I ate a light lunch with some salad, some hummus, and I kind of want to go back to Porter's. Don't you guys, after me talking all that jazz? I think we need to. And I worry a little bit as we share some of the Zion scenery, and I'm purposely choosing not to say Zion, just because of what fits me best is what I want to do from here on. I'm gonna do me, whether or not you like it. But yeah, Porter's. If they have a t-shirt, I might have to buy one. It's how much I enjoyed my dinner last night. The question is, was it just some coincidentally delicious thing that normally isn't that good and it just hit right that night? Or if I go 2 times, will I have such things to say? So I'm gonna do that. Actually, I think that'll be interesting. We're gonna do, see, I'm just going with the flow here. I'm gonna go to Porter's tonight with you guys, get something else on the menu. Whether I film it or not is yet to be determined, but I will report to you. And then through that, as I'm eating, I'll probably read and do research and we'll figure out what the heck we're doing on this episode in Zion. If you're out of the loop for the last few episodes too, I'm staying in Watchman Campground, which is just beyond this parking lot. Basically, we're gonna walk there. In that spot I started out at, I've been coming down here a lot. There's almost never anybody down there. That's like some of the first people I've seen, if you saw them in the shot. It's just so quiet, and it's just my place. And I need that. Sometimes I need that peace and quiet to unwind. Okay, so I think what I'm doing now is I'm gonna head back to my campsite here. D36 is where I've been camping. Probably gonna see it in multiple videos. You're especially gonna see it in Camp View. But I'll show it on all the videos, and it's always a way for me to segue into, hey, if you haven't heard, we created a second channel called Camp View, CAMPVUE. Go check it out and subscribe. It's much more than a YouTube channel though. It's an application that I'm building to service the camping industry. I shouldn't say the camping industry so much as actual campers. So you can avoid some of the frustrations that I have been experiencing at campgrounds lately, hopefully, if you have choice. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to probably just relax for a little bit, because I hiked the Narrows this morning. The video that was last week's video was my morning basically, and now I'm starting part 2 of my video filming here this afternoon after, like I said, fueling up, having lunch, having showered. And actually the shower is almost for naught now because I'm sweaty, as it's probably in the lower hundreds now, although the overcast sky does cool things down slightly. The sun, every day we've gotten a little bit of rain, and I expect a little bit more today. It's like a 50% chance every day, but it's really quick and light. Well, folks, I've decided I'm gonna head on over to Porter's again. I should look at Yelp. Maybe they're like a 1 out of 5 or something. But hey, Dame Drops has told me that, or has taught me that the poorly rated restaurants sometimes need a second chance. But anyway, I'm not saying Porter's is a badly rated restaurant. I don't know. But we're gonna go try out for ourselves and see if it's scratches the same itch that I did yesterday. Well, I forgot to film anything in Porter's because I was just so hungry that I just ate. And I can tell you what I had though. I think it was called the white chicken sandwich, if I'm not mistaken. It was basically like a fried piece of chicken with barbecue sauce on it, and then like blue cheese crumbles and like blue cheese dressing and barbecue sauce. It was so good. Oh my god, it was good. I had their fries too, and they were like, I think they were battered, but that's my favorite. So they did awesome again. So that's 2 things I've had there that I could totally recommend. Came back to my campsite though, and I'm observing this. Skeptical, are you hot? Are you okay? You seem to be breathing heavy, buddy. You okay? It is hot out here, isn't it? Well, I'm gonna leave you be. It's kind of like panting, isn't it? I don't want to get close and disturb it, so I'll keep an eye on it though. But that seems, I guess it's just really hot, and it's just hanging out in the shade to cool down. I don't know much about deer that well, but I imagine they're out here. It's hot. It's got to be, I don't know what the temperature is. It's got to be 100 or so, like 103, I'm gonna guess. So everybody needs a little bit of shade, I guess. Dude, this is the hard part of the day because it's so hot. I could go to sleep now, to be honest. I would if I could. It's really early though. But it's like, what else am I gonna do right now? You know, there's really even no shade other than under my awning here. So I think that's what I'm gonna do, is seek refuge under my awning and research, I guess, what I'm doing for the remainder of my time here. Well, good morning, everybody. It is now the next morning here at my campsite in Zion. I went to bed early, even when it was still light out. Somehow I was able to get through the heat and sleep, and I slept all night long. It was wonderful, and everybody around me here was an angel. Like, everybody was so quiet, and I'm probably being the loud one right now, to be honest with you. But how about we don't disturb people here? I have an idea for what I want to do this morning. I already went out and grabbed a cup of coffee outside of town, but got my stuff together, and there's a place I want to go check on right outside of town, maybe about 20 minutes away. And I think those of you that maybe didn't see our previous video on it might appreciate it. And if you did see it, you might like to see what's going on in 2024. And I'll tell you about it on the way there. All right, let's leave and depart this place. I'm gonna take you guys to, it's at a special place that I really enjoy. It's early too, so hopefully we get it to ourselves. It's outside of town though. I think it's officially, if you look for it, it'll say Springdale, Utah. I don't know if it's in Springdale or not, but we're going to drive through Springdale this morning.
Turn right to stay on D Loop, Watchman Campground Loop D, then slide left onto Watchman Campground Loop D.
Just like she say.
Slide left onto Watchman Campground Loop D, then turn right onto Watchman Campground.
That's a mistake putting her on this early, I think.
Turn right onto Watchman Campground.
Maybe I'll wait till we get out. Let her get it out of her system this morning or whatever. But I'm gonna show you again. I think I call it out in a different video. Up on the right, there's this coffee shop here. Here's my coffee. I went there earlier, about 6 a.m. They were open. I didn't see what time they opened, but wow, it's crowded in there now. Oh my gosh. Every time I go in there, there's nobody there, but it was full. So it's 8 o'clock in the morning now. So kind of this impromptu, video of the Zion area, and maybe even some stuff in Zion. There are stops and things that I have not done in there, very popular things like the Emerald Pools and some other things. Angel's Landing is one that's not happening on this trip. I couldn't get a pass in time, but that would be I would say that's probably the biggest ticket item business that is yet to be done by me, but unfortunately I just didn't have time on this trip to do that. But this video is kind of just, we're gonna go casually see where the day takes us, and it may be filmed over the course of a whole day where I bounce back and forth. I have to go make a video, a little documentary about the campground I'm staying in, for example, and Camp View, our other channel, CAMPVUE, Camp View. So I have some work to do there too. So this one's just kind of maybe gonna be the highlights of a day, and I wanted to start off with coffee and something very relaxing and easy to do. A place of historic interest, a ghost town. And a ghost town in a beautiful, maybe one of the most beautiful settings, and a ghost town that I think is I've read this quote, the most photographed ghost town in the West, the Western US. It's Grafton, Utah is where we're going. So yeah, this is kind of an experiment, just so you know, these videos, maybe they don't even feel any different than what we usually do, and I think I'm experimenting, but I'm really not, but just trying to, in a way, make it a little casual, you know, maybe it's more YouTube-y, maybe it's more just, hey, here's my day, I'm waking up, or blah, 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 so a little bit of a experiment, and it also helps me because I don't have like a formalized plan, so it's an excuse, I guess, to just be lazy about it.
In a quarter
or
mile,
lazier.
turn left onto Bridge Road.
Bridge Road. So we're about 4 miles away. We're really close. That's why I'm just rolling here, taking you through this drive this morning. Showing you. I like to just see the people, the homes, the people that live here, and I hope all of them are
Turn
happy
left onto Bridge Road.
and that this is not lost on them. But I kind of remember this here actually. Oh yeah, I remember this. This is, yeah, you have to go back behind. There's the Virgin River that we're gonna cross, which
In a quarter mile, turn right onto 250 South Grafton Road.
I'll tell you a little bit about the history. It's an old Mormon settlement from the Brigham Young days. Basically, Brigham Young was ordering folks to come down and grow cotton in these areas. And this settlement, which isn't, my understanding, the original settlement, they had to relocate after the river flooded downstream. They built this in the 1800s, and it's the Virgin River. As calm as ever. I shouldn't say as ever, because I'm sure it could be a raging torrent of hell sometimes too. And it was a real pain in the butt for the Mormons working here for reasons I'm going to tell you. This section of the Virgin River. Those folks had to work extra hard.
Turn right onto 250 South Grafton Road.
Gooseberry Mesa. So this is like some kind of backcountry route. I'm almost wondering, is that the video today? Is there more after Grafton?
Continue for 3 miles.
Is there any, I got a good cell phone signal too, is there any off-pavement driving back here? We'll pull up some Onyx after we're done here and we'll see. I don't know. We're going where the wind takes us today.
Hey all, Slim here. I kinda got myself in trouble with Glenn here. You see, he mounts that GoPro on my roof and sometimes it tickles just a bit too much. So to get back at him, I unscrewed the filter to the inside shotgun microphone to mess with him once again. Well, that backfired. In retaliation, I got a bath. I'm an off-road vehicle. I need my dirt and mud. I don't want to run around town looking like some, pavement princess. Anyway, once again, I've been tasked with recording a voiceover and providing some information as both Glenn and Amy are busy with other things and lack the time to do one themselves. I think they're just punishing me. So Glenn mentioned a town cemetery for Grafton and how a number of the townspeople had died of diphtheria. As usual, he thought about it too much and gave himself the heebie-jeebies. We both traveled, taking in the landscape, and envied those who owned land out in these parts. Me? I just want to drive those trails and get my tires dirty. Glenn was going on about some lawn mowing simulator game. Yes, laugh here. And cows and farms and I don't know. Anyway, before we knew it, we were at Grafton.
All right, I'm gonna just start here. Does anybody recognize this scene? I'm gonna give you a hint, especially for our demographic on our channel. I bet you most of you do. There was a very popular Hollywood movie. I don't know if it was I honestly don't know, was it in the 60s or 70s, but it had Robert Redford in it. A couple very popular faces I think you would know. It'd be Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. So that's one that I haven't seen. When I was a kid, it would be on TV. So I need to watch that sometime now that I've been here, just to appreciate that. But I think one of the reasons why this place has kind of a reputation maybe for being the most photographed town in the West, this is probably the reason right here. And one of the reasons why it would have been in that Hollywood movie, kind of where we started, but it doesn't look good right now because the sun's up right where we don't want it. Something approximately like that, because of Zion, this giant like red towering, rock monoliths in the background. And when you see it at sunset, which I was here at sunset, so maybe Amy could like flash up some of those scenes and how that was. I think I remember it glowing red. I was here, it was quiet. One of the most idyllic scenes in my cactus atlasing career when I was here. But anywho, Now there, I talk about the names of, I think, of the people that actually built the homes and stuff, and I don't remember any of that. There's signs here that talk about it, but cool thing is you can go in, or you used to be able to go into all of them, and you still can here. And I want to start maybe with this one. The door is closed on the front, but last time I was here it was open, and you could go upstairs and whatever. That looks like a new door to me, and I just don't remember, to be honest. Let's see if they've closed it. I guess at least oh no, it's open. Oh, they actually have new stuff in here. This I don't recall any of this stuff being on display before. And I think these, yeah, so Lorenzo's a name I know. I think these were among the people that built this. Just to show you. Here we go. Alonzo, maybe this was it. Early settlers of Grafton. So, I think this was the dude. Was it not, that built this house? Okay, and I mean the construction of this house is very similar to others I've even spent the night in before. Whoa. Was this like this before? Look at the roof. I don't recall. But you get a really good look at like those mud bricks they used up there in the construction, and it looks like the Russell home, that's what this is. Rehabilitation project, so you can actually see some of the work they did over time, and I guess the walls were crumbling in and all that stuff. So this is one that I don't mind a restoration on, because it's such a beautiful residence and there's so much to it that just feels original, because it probably is. There's signs everywhere saying please don't vandalize our community by writing on the walls, and I couldn't agree more. If they have to put the signs up, it's probably because people are doing that. Let's go up to the top and look at that. Some of the wood up there looks original, some of it's 100% new and restored, but you can see it kind of like next to each other there, and you get a little bit of old and new, and that's how you know this is like the real deal. And like this mud brick, I'm not gonna pick it with my fingernail or anything because that stuff can flake off, as I know very well. And this is the upstairs. But yeah, people lived here, man. And they looked like the pictures you saw. It's just something that I don't think we'd have a very hard time if we were transported back into the middle of a family gathering here in the 1800s, with the styles, the things they were struggling with. I wonder how it would be like from our perspective to be there in the middle of it after having experienced modern living in modern times. And there's some of your graffiti. Greg from 2002. And when you really start to look around, you'll see more graffiti. It's just the Lombards in 1986, Bob Matthews in May 17th of 74. It's almost like you wish you could find these people. 1974 is a long time ago now, but I'm sure the statute of limitations is far worn out, but it's like if you found a fresh one and someone put their actual name up there, and then you could play detective and put them here in this area at the time it was done and solve a crime, and then show up with Reverend Kane and a mallet and we've come to collect payment. I like a little bit of frontier justice. I do. And I'm of the mind that people are going to misbehave unless the consequences are severe sometimes. Anyway, let's get out of here. I think there's like evil spirits in here that are angry about the graffiti and they're channeling themselves through me. I will have none of that. I've noticed there's a barrel in here too, and it says, written by Grace Atkin Woodbury, as I remember Grafton. I have the barrel in the sled and the horse hitched to it, and Ma is anxious to get to her washing if the water is clear enough. So I guess if the water is not muddy, probably silty from the Grafton River, which is something we'll talk about. I imagine, yeah, they probably had to fill up a barrel like that, haul it with their mules or oxen or whatever, and hopefully when you go to do your washing and the water is not muddy. And that's the thing, at least for me in my life, when I think about, how in our society it just seems like, you know, we're all being trained to think we're all special and we deserve everything and we deserve more than we have. And then you think about how, and if you really open your mind and think about how you probably live better than Mr. Rockefeller did, you know, when he was doing all of his stuff, because you have all this technology that they didn't have access to, the richest people in the world, yet we all still complain, right? How, and you know, I don't know. Then you come here and you read about, hey, I need to go wash my clothes and I need to go fill up a barrel of water and hope it's not muddy. And now contrast that against today, and everybody just take a breath, you know? We don't have it that bad. We'll add a little bit of history here. So basically the Mormons came here at the order of Brigham Young. In fact, not at this exact location. Somewhere right out there, as we crossed over the bridge, is the Virgin River. And they were using it to irrigate crops with the intent of growing cotton was the main thing. And I read that didn't actually go so well. And the Mormons also brought in a lot of cattle and stuff. So a lot of the land they needed, I read, was needed to grow alfalfa and things like that, more to feed the cattle, horses, things like that. So I don't know how well the cotton growing thing went. But these people came out here and they worked hard, and after their first attempt at settling out here was thwarted by flooding, they built here, and then they would dig irrigation ditches from the river, somewhere right out theirs, to come in here and plant crops and grow orchards. And even today, I couldn't tell you which are the orchard trees or not, but there are still trees here left over from those folks. I assume they still bear fruit. I don't know what kind of trees those are. So we'll keep an eye out and see. Oftentimes with orchards, you see things very nicely spaced out and whatnot. So I don't know much about that part, but I read that. Now the thing that made life really hard for these folks is that this section of the Virgin River is very silty. So they dig these ditches, but then they have to clear out the silt all the time. And apparently these people had to do double duty and do it way more often. So I'm sure they expended more calories having to do that and work harder. And so yeah, that's why I think these were some pretty hard working people, but they figured it out, it seems, and they were making a living for a while out here. And it expanded. I want to say I saw something like 104 people total. Forget how many families that would be, but something like that. And over here, we'll take a look at an old structure. And this is, I think, if I remember correctly, this may have been one of the wives, I think. Because yes, this was in the day of polygamy and stuff. Before even the Mormon church denounced it. So I think I read that Mr. Russell or Alonzo built this for one of his wives. If I'm not mistaken, maybe there's some info on the inside. It's just a remembrance from last time. But one thing that I think is cool when you see these things and where you really want to know age is look at how they cut these logs and flatten them. It's done by hand, like cutting it with an axe or a hatchet or something like that. And you can see the evidence of human work, human hands from all that time ago right there. There was a moment in time, the cool thing about this, a very distinct moment in time that lasted 1 second where another human just chopped that one thing off at a very precise, discrete time. And now I'm here at a very specific time, all these years later, looking at that one notch that somebody's hand created way over 100 years ago. I find that to be pretty wild. I don't know why. It's like a connection, a real connection to the past. I'm gonna be honest too, even though this is pretty rustic, I mean, a lot of these structures out here are way nicer than other ones that I visited. So they knew how to do it upright, I would say, out in Grafton back in the day. Let's go in here. Oh wow, first thing I don't remember this, but that ceiling is really low. Maybe another piece of evidence of the past, because this would not, I don't think this would be up to code today, would it? I'm 6'2". If I stand on my tiptoes, my head hits the ceiling. I'm touching it right now. So I don't think I would have been, people like me, I don't think would have had a good time back in the day. Because they say we got taller, didn't they? So is this evidence that people were indeed shorter, even like 100, 150 years ago or whatever? Wow, this is real. I don't remember this being, maybe I didn't come in here last time or something, but my goodness. I'd be like walking around, my back would be messed up if I lived back then. Wow. I can tell you 100% for certain, I cannot clear this doorway without bending down about, I'd say, a foot. I almost wonder if this was the original outer facade at one point and they built on top of it, because now you got different building materials over here with the adobe brick. Oh, I think it's adobe, isn't it? They've done something to it, so it's almost got like a concrete, like really hard modern material feeling. Doubtful that's the handiwork of those people, but look at this handiwork though. More of that etching, so cool. So cool. I also read there's another Hollywood film filmed here, the first talkie, or one of the first Western talkies, I guess, where they had, they recorded audio too. I forget the name of the movie already. I read it before I came here, 1929. Amy, you can put that one up on the screen. I don't know anything about that one either, so another one I'm putting on my list to watch. All right, we're gonna swing by this church too, and this, I don't think you can go inside, but they did at one point have like some kind of stairs or something on one of these facades where you could peek inside. But I'm gonna go check. Maybe they changed their policy and you can go inside now. Nope, it says closed. See that? Closed. Doors look old. You can see what it looks like in there though. Sneak around the back. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure they did have some kind of viewing area last time, but there's not one anymore. Or maybe I'm just not remembering correctly. Probably because they put something there and people are breaking the glass and doing crap that they shouldn't do. That's why that happens. Of course, this was here too the last time I came here, so I guess this is helpful now because I can talk a little bit about things. Yep, so that's the Alonzo H. Russell House, built circa 1862. This church, the schoolhouse and church, 1886. And then this, that one that I told you was the wife. Yep, I was right about that. I remembered that one well. Louisa Mary Russell. So I think the wife of that guy, he built a house for her, maybe because all the wives were fighting or whatever and he couldn't take it anymore. But basically, that lady owned one of the first weaving looms in Grafton, which she brought from New Hampshire. That's really cool. Really cool. But anyway, that was 1879. So actually, it's ironic because that is newer than that. But that looks much older to me. I guess Mr. Russell didn't like build his wife the finest quarters. Anywho, so let's go look at one more thing here maybe. There's multiple houses. There's one with like a cellar, a dirt cellar over there. And I'm just to give you guys incentive to maybe go watch our other video if you want to do that deeper dive and see this place, I think, in the spectacular lighting that gives this place, you know, the title, one of the most photographed ghost towns in the West. I should have looked on the sign. This home was, I almost want to say it was kind of like being worked on or something at the time. I don't recall that fence there, but we're gonna have to consult old footage because my old brain ain't working so well. But this is another one you were able to walk in before, and you can see those notches there in the wood. Windows are dirty and old looking. So let's see. Anyone home? May I come in? Very simple, and not unlike a lot of structures from this time. I'm gonna guess they had the roof probably was completely gone. Probably piles of wood. Look at that big support beam in the middle. I wonder if that's an original. But you could tell this lumber's new, but as is not uncommon, the walls are usually the things that still remain. You know, you could definitely tell the wood, but I find a lot of these cabins, the doors are usually not original. The roof is usually not original, but the walls are usually what remains. And I'm even skeptical that this floor is an original. It doesn't have that you know, that bend to it, or that old feeling of, oh my God, is my foot gonna fall but here, you know, through the floor? But it could be. Maybe this is repurposed and the wood was covered enough so it didn't get damaged over time. But anyway, another remnant of a home in Grafton. So call it what you will, call it the Cactus Atlas, coming to check on the state of things to make sure in 2024 all is good. And I'm happy to report, feels very much the way I left it. Only thing I kind of recall was I thought they had some way to look inside the church, and it's not there anymore. And there's a few more things on display. And that's about my report for this year. And like I said, there's some cool structures right down there on this road also that we did go look, an old barn. I remember going in that house. There's a cellar underneath that. I remember talking about his Reverend, or his Mr. Kane. I don't know if he's a reverend or what, from Poltergeist. Is he hiding in the cellar? I remember that. I don't know why that always comes to my mind here. It's weird, isn't it? Anyway, I think what we'll do now is I'm gonna head back to that graveyard up there, or cemetery I should say, and we will say hi to the folks there, see if I remember that correctly, and maybe we'll go see if we can get back into this area a little bit and explore a little bit, get some onyx going. And here we are at the old Grafton Cemetery, 1862 to 1924, and I remembered correctly, I think. Diphtheria, over and over and over. You've got killed by Indians, you've got scarlet fever, and you had, I read on the sign, you had somebody killed by a horse. Rough times. Here's an interesting fact that I didn't know about. We visited Pipe Spring, and I mentioned there was some killing there. It wasn't a huge conflict with that, but watch that video on Pipe Spring. I think it's an interesting one. And I know that there was some killing, and here you go. Indians killed this family called the Berries, and they actually brought them here and buried them here. So I had no idea that there was a tie-in to Pipe Springs National Monument, but very interesting. So let's go in here and take a look and see, and I'll show you some stuff. And I'll make a couple comments on things that I think about when I come here. Assume we can go in here still. We used to be able to. Oh yeah. Hey folks. I've come to pay my respects again and to say hello. And you can see a lot of these dates. All 1800s. Some of the stones have been completely eroded. You really can't see anything anymore, except they have these little monuments at the bottom. And then some of them are just in fantastic condition, making me wonder, did they put a new one here or what? But even the ones that are older and worn, one thing that I would remark on here is that the intricacy, the artistry of these headstones stands out to me from all of the other places I visit on this channel when we go to old cemeteries. Usually it's more like that. That's the common thing. And not only that, I would just say the material they use, I don't know if that's a sandstone or what they made those with, that, I never see that. What I see is probably more akin to something like this, but the only difference is that usually doesn't stand the test of the time, and it's long gone with not even anything left, and then you just see the bumps of where the people are buried. These places really are a reminder of a very different time, especially the epidemics, the diseases, those that you come to these things and you saw there and there. It's just like entire families wiped out. You'll go to some of these cemeteries and it's like you'll see the mother and father's grave. Sometimes the mother and father live on to the 1900s, the 1940s, but they buried their children in that plot many years before in the 1800s, and you'll see day after day, like infants, young children in a family, one would go after the other, one day, the next day, until they're all gone. Imagine that. We don't know what that's like, I don't think, in our society today, like not on that scale. Must have been scary. And I know they said this ran through 1924, and I'm guessing here the Jones That was a death in September 1st of 1924. I missed this one the first time I came here. Look who we found, Alonzo H. Russell. That's the house. That's the guy that built the house and then built the house for his wife. And I'm guessing, is that the wife? Was it Nancy? I don't remember now, but it's one of his wives. I assume he had more than one. Oh, let's see. Yep, there's another one. I'm assuming that's another wife. I think, is this the Berry? Berry? Is this the people that, look at that. See, isn't I don't know if I had been to Pipe Springs yet, but going there and then coming here and tying that history together is really cool. So, killed by Indians in April 2nd of 1866, Joseph S. Berry, and I bet you if we go around, they said the Berry family. Is it a bunch of berries buried here? Jesse. It's hard to read that. It's kind of a weird position. And then the wife, killed by Indians, April 2nd, 1866. So basically, this family, the Berries, got killed. And before you start screaming about the Indians and stuff, I think you need to know that story. And I think you have to look at it in the historical context. But if you want to be real, the Mormons came out, like, plopped down on a very important spring, a water source that the Paiutes, the Indians, relied on, plopped down on it, built a fort on top of it, said F you, brought in all their cattle, that's decimated, all of the native grasses and things like that. And there was a little bit of fighting. So if you want to get mad at the Indians for killing these folks, I'm sorry, but you got to look at it from both sides. I'm not saying killing is justified, but in that whole context, you're asking for problems like that. And I don't know who this character is. Cedar Pete. He was a native, a Paiute leader. How cool. Hey, Cedar Pete. How are you, buddy? There you go. Evidence of the past, evidence of the people that lived here. I'm sitting here at the cemetery still, Grafton Cemetery, plotting my next move, and I actually think I know what I'm going to do. We saw like a BLM sign for Smithsonian Butte. All of this country that I'm facing back here, apparently there's a backcountry byway that goes back there. I'm a little confused about it because it says it takes you to the western entrance of Zion, but I don't really see how it does that. And there's a sequence of roads back there. So I tell you what we're gonna do. I'm gonna just download an offline map and we're gonna just drive back up there, and it might be a haphazard kind of exploration, but I like backcountry. And all of these have a 1 out of 10. So it should be just very easy dirt roads. If I hear 1 out of 10, that makes me think anybody can get back there, but we'll actually, we'll take a look. But yeah, there's different routes and they kind of, I don't know, we'll see. I wasn't really planning on doing a huge off-roading or off-pavement adventure as part of this, but we'll go peek our heads back there, take a little scenic drive behind Grafton. Sounds about right. All right, map is downloaded now, and we're gonna head over the Smithsonian Butte Backcountry Byway. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, downloaded that offline map. I'm ready to go. I don't know if I even need a map. Looking at the map, there's not too many places to turn around or get lost, I don't think, but we'll be safe.
So off we headed towards Smithsonian Butte with my little prank still in full effect. While Glenn pondered manifest destiny and the small stories that made up everyday lives of those in pursuit of their westward expansion, I was taking note of the road. It proved to be a 1 out of 10, as good as paved almost. Almost. A few washboards made things a bit bumpy, but the small-scale Zion-like views were worth it.
There's a view here that we gotta stop and see. I'm actually now seeing the full potential for this up here. This is amazing. Oh my goodness. Wait till I show you this. And you can tell this is a popular pullout here because there's a spot for it. Oh my gosh. I wish that was in view. Maybe we'll turn around on the way out instead of, I don't know where this is going to take us eventually, but it says the western side, the western entrance of Zion, but I'm going to show you Zion. I'm going to take you to Zion, man. Now I'm going to admit, not the best lighting conditions to show you that, but how do you like that? So I'm actually camping, like you can kind of see like where the Springdale goes and the canyon goes back that way. We're somewhere deep in there and it's hazy, I know. But boy, if I knew about this. Yeah, coming up here at sunset or something. Let's see if we can see. I doubt you could see Grafton down below. It's probably off to the left, but look at that. Look at that. I don't have the words for this one other than I just wish it was a different lighting. But you still see some of the bright light shining through some of those large mountains or the sides of the canyon up there. Think about the Narrows if you've been following my trip. Deep in there where the Virgin River goes way up in there, that's really where we were. Same river that the folks in Grafton were digging irrigation ditches and bringing in that silty water. Blows my mind. So far, big thumbs up to this little drive here. Now that is an overlook. Almost got to come back up here around sunset from my remembrance of Grafton last time and how all of that was just glowing red. Maybe that's something to remember for your upcoming trip. Smithsonian Butte Road, right outside of Grafton.
Onward we went with Glenn teasing about pronunciation and wondering if our audience should pick a standardized pronunciation. Yeah, that'll work real well. I'm AI, so I have no opinion. With the Onyx route appearing to head towards a whole lot of flat nothing, we turned around and took a route toward Gooseberry Mesa to see what that was all about.
So I went down the road and I kind of just ran the camera. Honestly, not the most interesting drive, although I'm enjoying myself. But you could see off to the right, you had these views of Zion, the national park. Where my confusion is, and maybe I just need to reread the Onyx off-road thing, but that scenic by route supposed to take me to the western entrance. I am assuming the western entrance is somewhere along that, right? But the route actually goes miles that way. So I don't know if that's an error or what, and this doesn't seem to go anywhere really. There's a circle. And the route kind of dead ends. I haven't studied the map very carefully, but not complaining because I think the view is beautiful here, albeit hazy. Got to zoom in a little bit too, I think, to enjoy it. But you can see some of the features. I think I see the Watchman the Rock. And I know there's I forget what the name of those are. I think there's a name for that. Something, the White Cathedral or something? Is that what that is? It may not be, but a very interesting perspective on it that you normally wouldn't get. Because your Zion experience, you're in a canyon the whole time, even though it doesn't really feel canyon-like at all times. It just feels like you're in a valley between mountains or whatever. I think technically it is a canyon with a Virgin River blazing through it and creating the Narrows, where the Narrows would be somewhere in the northern section of the park. Somewhere in there we were exploring deeply yesterday. You wouldn't even know that was there. So anyway, there's this trailhead over here. There's a map. Let's take a look at it. I'm struggling to see why you would want to hike out here in an exposed area where there's really nothing of interest. But apparently there's a mesa, like Gooseberry Mesa. So where we're at. Oh, maybe it's because it's a biking trail or something. That's what it is. There's just signs about, don't be careful or else you're going to get rescued by a helicopter. And Gooseberry Mesa National Recreation Area. So I don't know much about this one. There's a Windmill Trailhead, the White Trailhead, Gooseberry Mesa, blah, blah, blah. It's made for mountain biking. So now it's making more sense. So, and it looks like there's yurts over here too, the Gooseberry Yurts. I'm wondering, I watched another YouTuber and I think somebody was staying in yurts at some point in time in Utah somewhere out here. And I'm wondering, could that be where they were? Huh. Anyway, on a day like today with the haze, not the most interesting scene, but I imagine this could be another great place for sunset views.
With our heads full of new knowledge, we turned back and headed once again towards Springdale for a bite to eat and to plan for the next adventure.
Seems only appropriate to end the episode here at the river that made that town appear one day, long time ago. Anyway, hope you enjoyed exploring the area around Zion National Park with me, and you got to see some stuff you never saw before. And we'll be back next week with another video. See ya.